And speaking of dead center movies, we've got my pick, that being the 2006 film The Fountain, which is, of course, the story of a man and his wife. His wife has a terminal brain tumor, and he is a scientist trying to find a cure for it. Unfortunately, he does not make it in time, and there's also, of course, like 3 different plots happening at the same time. I'm not even going to try to attempt to break down. It's really, that's all. The plot boils down to a guy trying to save his wife from dying, and he doesn't make it, and he has to like cope with life and death.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fun fact. Yeah, sorry. The space visuals are not CGI, but were actually microphotography of chemical reactions in little petri dishes.
Wow.
Yeah, that shit's raw.
That's crazy. That's cool. Tanner, what'd you rank this one?
I am in between a C and a C+.
Dylan, how about yourself?
A-.
Jesus Christ. Dylan, or not Dylan, Jackson.
Wow.
I'm at an A+. I quite like this movie.
Wow. I'm at a B+. Guys, what'd you love so much about it?
There's a lot to talk about this movie, but I think really it just boils down to me, at least, that there's just a lot I connected with the way they present this story and the journey that our main character goes on. One of these connections, maybe I am fucking crazy for this, and also this is going to be spoilers for Clan Ad After Story, but literally him choosing to go and walk with his wife after he fucking has like the revelation when he goes up into the fucking dying galaxy, that shit made me fucking cry, and it just reminded me so much of, it's making me fucking want to cry right now because I'm so like emotionally attached to Clan Ad. But literally just that moment when Tomiya is contemplating if he's going to skip over talking to Nagisa again to avoid all the trauma of her dying and the connection that had with him, and he chooses to still do it in the end. He chooses to go and love her, and I just thought the movie was fucking beautiful, to be completely honest with you. Another thing I liked a lot about it too was just the soundtrack is so fucking good. Oh my god.
It was good, yeah. It
was captivating. There are so many scenes that were elevated well beyond potentially what the production was trying to display, just because the score was fantastic. I remember just watching it, I was like half an hour in maybe, and I was talking about how good the score was to the movie to Dylan, and that was before we even really got any like serious meat in the potatoes there.
Yeah, I agree with Jackson. One thing I really appreciate about this movie is it didn't go full sci-fi on us. I figured something they try to do towards the end is like show how these 3 plot points are actually connected and part of the same timeline because of some time travel bullshit. But no, it was, at least from my perception, I could be perceiving this wrong, but no, it's, the medieval shit was like his wife writing a story, and it just so happened to align with like their life struggles and like what they were seeking and like what they're having to do to progress forward. And then like the space travel shit was like his like pursuit of finding like the solution to everything, and that pursuit was portrayed in real time where he was like, oh, we found this tree, which was a tree in space, and how this is the miracle tree, and it's doing all this crazy shit, and like, oh, it's not doing exactly what we want, we're not here to, ignore the tumor, we're here to get rid of it. And then, yeah, like Jackson was saying, like, it, found the solution too late. I just like how it just interconnects with itself, and it gets you as the viewer to think, I don't remember exactly what it was. I just remember at the end, I said I was confused about the ending. I want to, for the life of me, remember what it was about the ending that confused me. And maybe there was something that happened by the end of all of it that... No, yeah, I think the way that it resolved and everything I just explained is probably why I rescind what I said about not understanding the ending. But, yeah, this movie is very touching. It's got a lot of great emotional story beats. And it's kind of reserved for what it can be, is basically what I was alluding to earlier. But, yeah, no, I just think this movie is shot great, the soundtrack's great, the acting's great. I really like this movie.
Yeah, I didn't speak on it too, but also, yeah, I do agree the acting in this movie is fantastic. I think Hugh Jackman does a really good job. He is amazing for this role. Mm-hmm. And I do think the cinematography is very interesting too. This movie had a really, really rocky production. And this was like 7 years delayed or something because they had like a massive budget for it initially. And it's like actually like a big controversy. It's the fucking guy that plays Thor, I think. It was some massive actor.
It was Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, he's not Thor, I think.
No.
But yeah, no, Brad Pitt was supposed to initially play our main character, and then he just fucking backed out the last second because he had some revisions to the script, and they just didn't want to accept them, I guess. So he wanted to do something else, and that just completely fucked up the entire production because they couldn't find a lead actor in time. The whole movie got dropped, and then later on, the director ended up getting the rights to it, and he still ended up doing it, but on a much smaller budget. Obviously, this fucking bombed in the box office still, but it had a lot bigger ambitions, I should say, which is kind of what speaks to like Dylan. This movie could have been a lot more bombastic. They had like massive like war scenes and shit they wanted to do, and it ended up being a much more like small and personal feeling movie, which I think worked for it a lot better. I wasn't crazy interested in like the fucking reenactment of like the wife's book. I think those are the weaker parts of the movie for me. But and I like that they didn't. Maybe the budget for those scenes could have helped it, maybe, but I don't know. I think it would have taken away from what I liked about the film, I suppose.
I mean, the way in which that part like really wraps up in the end, at the very least, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
With it sort of like showing that like, oh yeah, he finally is able to go ahead and finish the book, and like he has a much greater understanding of like what his wife wanted as she passed as well, with the way in which like, his character in the book fucking dies, but he's not like truly dead. It's part of him sort of accepting a part of a much larger cycle.
I was gonna say it also just speaks on him overcoming his like quest for immortality and realizing that mortality is like what makes you human.
Exactly, yeah. So Tanner, why'd you hate this movie?
Yeah, why'd I fucking despise? I don't necessarily disagree with what you guys have been saying. It just didn't work on me, I guess.
The shoe's on the other foot.
My biggest positives are, I think this movie's very visually interesting, which I liked, and it has really strong performances. My negatives are kind of more like a meta-negative, I guess, which is like, the whole time I was watching this, I'm like, man, this is a baby's first art film, And I'd say my biggest negative, and the thing that kept like taking me out of the movie and making me groan, honestly, was just how on the nose and like in your face a lot of the metaphors and little things this movie does are. Like I feel like the allegories are really punching me in the face here and there. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, we fucking get it, man. It's a guy wrestling with his wife about to die. You can tone it down just a little bit. And a lot of the dialogue is just super like, it's just so in your face and whatever that I'm like, okay, dude, you're beating me over the head with this, and it's kind of wearing me out.
I do agree. One of my biggest problems with this film is it does feel a little melodramatic. Which I think was like a similar problem I had with another one of these like dramas that Jackson enjoyed much more. I think it was Life as a House, maybe.
I love melodramas. They work on me. I'm stupid. I do like the interpretation of the sci-fi stuff with this movie. It's creative with what it goes for, like the fucking spaceship the guy's riding for, however long, thousands of years potentially.
Yeah, it's just like a big bubble with a tree in it.
Yeah.
It's cool, it's creative, it's fun. Like Tanner said, there is a lot of like symbolism in this movie. The plot is very non-linearly shown, and it has a lot of like swapping between the different like the book, the future, him, all these things, which makes it kind of confusing to watch. But like I think it all just ends up being a very fun package, especially on like rewatches. I really want to rewatch this movie. I was thinking about just doing it solo prior to this, so I could like even like really solidify my views on it, because I was certainly a little confused the first time, as you'd kind of expect, given its structure. But I definitely started piecing stuff together near the end. But like now I just want to watch it again, and I feel like I experienced it with so much more context, and I think I'd like it a lot more even, which is crazy because I already gave it a fucking A+. I was trying to drag motherfuckers into it. Nobody wanted to watch it with me. I'm shaking my fist right now in the air. You guys can't see. This will probably be on my hit list to hit S tier something or other. That would not surprise me, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess, was anyone very confused by the end? Because like Jackson said, like parts of the film are confusing, like as you're kind of trying to piece things together, but I feel like by the end it all wrapped up pretty nicely.
Like I said, once I got to the very end, everything seemed to have resolved. Like I think they settled the score of like, these are not like coexisting like timelines. These are just everything outside of the present day is happening either metaphorically or in his like mind struggle. And I like...
Well, I think the stuff like in the bubble and everything, that's in the future.
I mean, there's interpretations that it could also not be. That's a fun thing about this movie. I watched a lot of videos of people trying to like break down the plot because I had my own idea of what was happening, and I've seen so many different interpretations that are very different than what I was assuming. They all seem valid in their own ways.
My assumption was that they were like meditation-induced hallucinations. Future.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
My interpretation was that, like, they've been doing this experiment on like finding immortality and whatever, and like, he managed to get it, and so now this is like thousands of years in the future, and he planted like that tree in his wife's grave. And so it's like, he's bringing his tree wife into space, into Xibalba, to like resurrect her.
The problem, though, is that the confounding point for that theory is that he plants the tree in the timeline where he goes and walks with her, so he doesn't continue the research at that point, so the tree wouldn't have existed. So the tree is unrelated to her in that instance, even though obviously the tree is a direct allegory for his wife, given the way he touches her and all that shit, and it looking like a fucking vagina and stuff.
Oh, I missed that part. I just thought this whole thing was metaphorical. I just think, everything, we talked about symbolism. I'm not going to sit here and try to... But, and I like how they hit at the fact where it's like, oh, he found the tree of life, and he drank from the tree of life, and yeah, it helped, it cured him and all that. But then it ended up coming back and killing him. It was like too much of a good thing, and it's like, maybe the upfront solution isn't the solution that has to be used. And with the whole, like, repetitiveness of just, like, beat you over the head with things, the way I interpreted that, personally, was just putting you through the mental, like, ruggedness and emotional, like, loops of, like, what he's dealing with as a character. I think, in my opinion, it was just the movie trying to put us in his situation by, like, constantly subjecting us to what he was going through. It's not a very solid argument or a very solid point, but that's just how I was experiencing the movie. Was like, I get that I'm tired of this, but he's also probably tired of this too, so it's really kind of trying to sync up the audience's view with the character's view. At least, I think.
I'll say, this movie also, for me, there's a lot of just small moments that I like a lot that add up to the grander, I guess, review I have of it. One of which being the fucking flowers eating the guy alive. I think that shit's just cool. It's very well done and poetic for the story. I think it's a good ending. The moment where his wife passes in the hospital and he goes and looks at the fucking old guy with the ring on. That scene got me too, not even gonna lie. It's just like a bunch of small scenes that added up to like a really profound picture for me. And I agree, it's not very subtle in what it's trying to portray. And that's certainly something that's dropping it down a bit for me, as well as like the movie is just, it's shot to be confusing. I think it works in the end, and if you're paying attention, you can get what it's trying to say. But like, it's certainly going out of its way to be like artsy and confusing on purpose, and I'm not crazy about that, which is probably one of my bigger negatives. But also, like, it's like it balances out because it makes it like more rewatchable. But should you base a movie's rankings on the rewatchability of it? I don't know. It's hard to say.
I wouldn't say so. I ranked Godzilla 1998 a B, and I'd love to watch that movie again.
I more meant like if you'd get something more out of it, like on subsequent watches. Like with this movie, I could see myself liking it more by watching it again. Is that a downside to the movie because they make it obtuse purposefully so that you'd have to, or is it like good because that means there's a lot of substance? It's hard to say.
I'd give it the metaphor of the gift that keeps on giving, so I wouldn't necessarily see that as a negative.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, well, so I guess I'd say you shouldn't rank it based off of you thinking you'll enjoy it, like based off of what you think your future rank would be if you rewatched the film.
I agree. That's not what I was trying to say.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why I'm saying I think I would probably rank this higher on a rewatch, and that's why I'm giving it an A+ right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I could see myself liking it more on rewatch, but it's like, do I want to drop it because of the film being obtuse, or do you look at it on like a positive light of it being just like really full of substance and a lot to like think about? Yeah. That substance, of course, blossoming into more context and a higher rating potentially.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I look at this movie a lot like Neon Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion. Very different movies, obviously, but I think you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, you know, it gives you a lot to chew on here. Plenty of interpretations to go around.
Yeah.
True.
But at the very least, you walk away with the same sort of core message with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there'd just be a lot more moments that would stand out to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sticking at my A+.
Yeah.
A-.
I'm gonna chill at my B+. I could see myself raising it later, but this is where I'm chilling for now. Tanner, what about you?
I'll go the higher of my two and say C+.
There we go.
And it lands at a B+, right to the pile. I think that rating probably aligns with what most people would put it at.